This is Wayne Township Board of Trustees meeting for July 2nd, 2024. I'm going to call this meeting to order at 7 p.m. I want to welcome everybody that's here. We had to move our meeting from the actual conference room over into our conference room here for temporarily because there is other zoning meetings going on. So we have our meeting here. Megan, roll call, please.
Absolutely. Mr. Patrick?
Here.
Ms. Colvin?
Here.
Mr. Jacobs?
Here.
Yeah,
Well, good. Now we'll rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now we're on the next part. We're going to do approval of minutes of the previous meeting, which is June 18th.
I'll make a motion.
I will second that.
alrighty, roll call vote, Mr. Jacobs?
Yes.
Ms. Colvin?
Yes.
And Mr. Patrick?
Yes.
Alrighty.
Okay, do we have any additions or removals or disclosures from posted agenda? Looks like we
Do
have
have
one.
the addition of resolution 2024-74,
Okay,
which is a contract for continuing education.
great. Okay, thank you guys.
And my third try at
Okay.
2024-61.
All right.
Okay, sounds good. All right, now we're going to go and move into the next part of the meeting, which is citizens' comments. Right now, I do not see anybody here for citizen comments, so we're going to move past that. Next, we got the road department report with Mr. Camry, but he is over in the zoning meeting. So, Gus, do you have anything additional what he gave out to our email?
I think they did finish, they got stump grinder out yesterday.
Oh,
Got
looks
all the
good.
stumps taken care of.
Yeah.
So everything's looking nice and sharp and in shape out here. Let's see, other than that, I don't think so. I think they went back, they've been working on getting the garage cleaned up down there and straightened up, so.
I was going to say, I appreciate the guys taking the time to clean the plow truck to get it ready for the parade. I think it was looked sharp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good.
Very good.
You look good as Diana driving
Yeah, that's right.
it.
It was good.
It was fun. We were
No
trying
pressure with trying to get the candy
Yeah,
out
I
and start
know.
dropping down the road. So
He didn't want to run into Scott's
Car.
I told Scott he should be behind me, not in front of me.
Yeah.
But it was all right. It was good. It was a very good time. You know, we thank everybody. We thank all the, citizens out there to see the parade. I think it was even good we had the parade early and not late. So now we have all our, fireworks, parade, as everything is done. So very good job by all. Without a doubt, the parade ran smoothly.
I do want to say something about his item number 4, maybe the sign thievery.
Oh yeah.
Because he talked to us about that at the parade also. I guess there's a bunch of signs being stolen off the roads, and taxpayer money is involved in that, because those are, every time he replaces one, it costs taxpayers more money. So I didn't know if we wanted to put out any sort of a post to beware, to look for people that might be stealing signs, or if you see one in somebody's barn or garage or something.
I think you
to,
can put something out on Facebook for the most part. What was kind of curious is that he said that it's not just a typical street sign.
Yeah.
It was actually the hazard signs where you go across a bridge. That makes it even worse than just a
Yeah.
street sign. These are the hazards where you don't want to go off the side of the road into the bridge embankment and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it might not be a bad idea. Get
Yeah.
notification out to everybody.
All right.
Very good. Yeah. Does we have anything else for Scott's report?
Nope.
Okay, sounds good. Next, we'll go to the fire chief.
All right, good evening, everybody.
Good
Thank
evening.
you for having me. As seen in your report I sent you, total for June 82 EMS runs, 18 fire runs, 7 service calls, total 107. Puts us at 351 EMS calls for the year, 128 total fire runs, 34 service calls, for a total of 513, and we're about 20 shy from running the numbers from last year. We're down about 20 calls. It is interesting to note that we had 82 EMS runs in June, and we also had 82 EMS runs the month before. So I thought that was I was like, there's no way, it was 82 and 82.
Yeah.
So, we started, our cleanup of Station 92. We're very close to hopefully getting a dumpster down there, gone through and done some organization and stuff, so I think, I'll talk with Gus and get it slated to be delivered next week after the holiday. The recruitment street signs are in, there's one out front. I also have some if you'd like to take some home and, put them in your yard. I have some with me, if you'd like to take those home. We interviewed 6 people for positions, 3 for volunteer, 3 for part-time. We're gonna bring 5 to the physical agility next week, the week after. We participated in the Independence Day and the parade and the fireworks. Last Monday, we had a care flight scheduled to come out for a landing zone safety training and things. It ended up the aircraft was on another detail, so they couldn't come out. They come out and do a lecture for about an hour on landing zone safety and appropriate. Friday, we had a run that we actually used care flight, so it was good to, everything went smooth.
Good.
And did hear today the battalion truck, the equipment, 98% of the equipment is in at Valor, so it'll go Monday for its upfitting. It'll be gone for about a week and a half to 2 weeks. They're hoping in that time that the truck cap and the slide out come in, because those are the big things we're still waiting on. But he's gonna go ahead and put the lights and sirens and the console and stuff in, and hope that it comes in. If not, it comes back, it goes into service, and we'll just have to send it back out. So we did, yesterday started our 24-hour person on 24-hour. So, and again, remember that putting them in the chase car depends on our staffing. So what will happen with that is that, because the expedition is out of service, and the other battalion car isn't in service yet, they will take my car, and I'll just use my personal vehicle until the battalion comes back. Or if they don't have the staffing to run the car first out, then I'll take that home with me. But my truck does have lights and sirens on it, so that's how we're gonna get through that.
Okay.
Let's see. I think that's all we have. Yeah, the people that we hired are coming off of their orientation, so they'll start being on shift.
So were you able to fill all the shifts for July so far?
No, not as of yet. We still have a few open.
Okay.
It is very thin this weekend. We have so we have one person on for 24 hours for the 4th of July, and that's all we have. So essentially, unless people pick up, the car will be in service, first responding, but we will not have an ambulance to transport people. I'm hoping we've been sending out.
And you have some equipment on the.
It
going out, so,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, it has
Enough to be the first responder.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
To try to
be
get
the
the
first
scene.
responder. Yep.
Yeah.
The 5th, we have the squad will be in service for the day, and then it'll go out of service at night we'll have a first responder. And same thing, we'll have a first responder for the day Saturday. I'm gonna put out more texts and shit. I can't.
That's all you can do. I mean,
Yeah. So, hopefully, it's a holiday weekend. People generally want off, but we still have a service we got to provide. So, we did have it that we didn't have anybody.
Yeah.
So people have picked up. So
here's a question for you. So last year, July 4th, I can't remember if we had a parade on July 4th last year or not. But anyway, I didn't know what the schedule was last year compared to this year.
I can go back and look.
I'm just kinda curious.
Yeah.
Cause you know how our July 4th landed a week before a lot of others.
Right.
So
Yeah. Give me a second, I can get
I
that.
just see if it makes a difference.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna make me
Well, it
sad.
would
It's not a big deal. You can keep going with your report.
And that's all I have for you.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else have questions?
None.
No? Good. Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.
All right, then Ms. Lowen is over in the zoning meeting as well.
Would you like me to give her a report?
You
Yes.
can, please.
For the month of June, she issued one accessory building permit at 8485 Stockton Court. She issued one single-family residence at 8019 Mount Holly Road, one in-ground pool at 3749 State Route 73, and one variance application for 5741 O'Neill Road. 4 permits were received, collected for a total of $900, and all funds have been deposited. The BZA on June 20th had a conditional use site plan and secondary dwelling unit approved at 4502 Lytle Road. And then on July 18th, there is a public hearing for 5741 O'Neill Road for a variance. Zoning Commission is meeting tonight at 6 o'clock in our hearing room, that's why we're in this room,
Yep.
for a rezoning from B1 and R1 to B3 at 3235 East State Route 73. After that recommendation comes down from the Zoning Commission, the next hearing on that application will be by the Board of Trustees on Tuesday, July 16th. Again, that's for the rezoning of the B1 and R1 to B3. And that's all she has.
Okay, perfect. Any other questions or comments? Okay, we're good. Thank you, Gus, for that. Next, we'll go to administrative report. Right back to Gus again.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
ODOT, they're having a construction meeting with the contractor in the morning of July 18th, and then they've invited the villages and some of the other people to meet. I think our meeting's either 11 or 12. Chiefs going to it also, or been notified of it, so we're gonna go and see what they have and what they got to offer, or if they got to come up with any solutions, and kind of trade some input.
Okay,
Probably no solutions, probably just how we work around it.
yeah.
Because it's really bad on the weekends and around rush hour time. I went in this evening around 5:30 or whatever, and it's 42 and 73 rush hours of this.
Is it backed up to here? With,
I've not seen it back up past Clarksville Road, but I've seen
Okay.
it back up to it on the weekends, yes.
I do
It
see a
takes
lot of
a-
people taking the cut through, coming down through.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, this one's been used probably.
Oh, yeah.
Fivefold of what it used
Yeah.
to be. But, Warren County Auditor, was not able to get a face-on-face meeting with him, but I did copy the board on some emails that went back and forth. He is on vacation this week. He said he'd be more than happy to talk with me if I want to go up to Maine. I don't, said, sure, I'd like to go up to Maine and talk about it, but no. But we'll talk more about that later. Fire Department, the Opers, that just, sure Scott's gonna touch on it, between Scott and
touch.
Yeah.
the chief and myself.
Sure.
I mean, we've got not a problem, but we got a lot of things, or a few things that need to be corrected, and we just gotta figure out the best way to comply and to make things the best for everybody. Road Department, we sent out notices either today or they're gonna go out first thing in the morning to all the residents of subdivisions on the upcoming chip seal and microsurfacing, to explain, what they can expect. We did that last year, it seemed to work out well, so those will be going out to everybody in Twin Creek Estates, Lytle Trails, and then Fairfield and Morse.
Okay.
The hearing room, rostrum desk monitors, after this went down, David took a look at those, and those are wired with HDMI and a lot of adapters under there. He thinks that they can either A, be rewired with, I'm not gonna get into terminology, but it could be done better where we probably don't lose as much signal. Or we talked about the idea, Stacy, myself, and David Dow. And I think we talked with this board before about putting up a big monitor on the sidewall or one of the diagonal walls that you could see from where you're sitting back into the room.
Okay.
So just kind of throwing that out there as two different options. Just something to maybe start thinking about. And just sort of, you know, I kind of like the one on the side, because then if somebody's at the podium and they want to point something out on the screen, then we've got that long stick that we use to turn stuff on and off with that they could use as a pointer. It's the only about a monitor is you got to have a special, you know, regular pointer won't work on a monitor. See TV, so.
I'd like to see what the cost is on things though, because, I mean, for me, I bring my own laptop and, you know, pull the stuff up, and but it's only when, like, Stacy's going over something where it's a site plan or something where only she has that information, that's when I really have to look. But, I don't wanna get anything that's gonna be costly, because we could always turn around and look at the thing like everybody else is.
Yeah,
You
we
know,
can
the
do
one
that.
behind us,
Yeah.
or, you know, if we can rewire the ones that are showing up there, I mean, I think that'd be the best option in my mind.
Okay, so having, like I said, we didn't make anything definite, he just kind of was
Yeah.
throwing some options out to us that we'll have. And I just said, I bring it to the board just to make you guys aware of it, so I'll have him give some pricing or whatever on some different ways.
Okay.
That'd be perfect.
I don't know, yeah, everybody get the email about the July 1st Township's responsibility for fraud training from the auditor of state. We have 90
Yes.
days.
Yeah.
Other jurisdictions have, their cycle's a little bit different. New hires have to have done within 30 days. I jumped on yesterday just so everybody knew how it went, and was off in about 10 minutes. Takes about 2 minutes, 3 minutes to sign up, and then almost 8 minutes to watch it, and then print out your certificate.
I did it on my phone, but it didn't get to the certificate side of it for some reason. So I gotta do it again.
I can't remember exactly how I got to my certificate,
Yeah.
but I got my certificate.
Well, I was gonna do it on the laptop, make it a little bit easier, or just on the computer somewhere.
And Mr. Fitzsimmons came in this morning and found out and told me I had to have not only the certificate, I had to fill out another form saying
Yes,
that.
Yeah, the signature, there's an acknowledgement form, I sent that out in
Oh,
email.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's, okay,
So everybody has to fill that out.
okay. So I'll get the certificate. I'll try it again.
Certificate and acknowledgement form, and we're good to go. We'll
Okay.
make the auditors happy. Because you know, since it's a new program, you know they're gonna be asking for it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's gonna be
It's
on
not-
their top of their list of, yes.
Oh, it'll be
Yeah.
one of the first things they'll say. Do you happen to have a folder?
And that's all full-time employees?
That's
Or all
everybody.
employees?
All.
All employees,
All
so,
elected and all employees.
so all your people have to do it
And
too.
there's QR code.
Sending it out tomorrow.
Yeah, the thing that's, like I said, nice about it, I think they'll just be able to latch on to this QR code. If they've got it on their iPhone, it'll pop it right up, and
Yeah, it pops up pretty easy on the iPhone, and then it reviewed. All I said is like my only problem was it never showed. I figured it would email me the certificate. It
When you're
doesn't.
looking at,
Yeah.
down to the right, there's a little button all the way to the bottom of the right. You might be
Okay.
able to still get back in.
I think you have to
'Cause when you-
download it to your,
When you go to your email, that sent you a confirmation that you got into the register.
Yeah.
If you go to and click on that, I think it'll take you back to where you left off.
Okay.
And then, so I gave you that step by step.
Yeah, because right here is the file ending.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's a way, I wonder if there's something. Because it looked like there was something there.
Yeah, just something. Oh, maybe that's it right there. Oh. Okay. View certificate, then it takes you to there. Okay.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why when I did that step by step, I gave the actual web address, because I thought to myself, well, if you've got the QR code, but if you're using your phone, how do you use the QR code?
I just did it straight from that sheet.
So there's a drink link that you can hit.
Hi there.
Hello,
Hi.
how you doing?
Oh, sorry, I'm late.
Somebody's coming behind you too.
Oh, Chris is there.
Yeah,
I missed the room
have a
check.
seat.
Yeah.
Chris moved that door open. That way it's doesn't seem so
This one,
secluded.
Yeah.
this one.
Yeah, looks like
Yeah, there's something.
And the only miscellaneous stuff I have is the stuff over Independence Day celebration that we had. 73 entries, I think, into the parade, but that consumed of about over 100 units, because like the Core and Tractor Club,
Oh, yeah.
that's one entry, but it has 15, 20 different tractors. So it was huge, well attended. I thank Scott for and Andy and Diane for participating. Like I said, we had some vehicles in it this year. And also Chief and his department for getting their equipment out. I think we had probably one of the biggest crowds we had on Main Street this year, I believe.
I think it was, yeah.
Lots of kids, they were all begging for candy, they were hungry kids,
100
hungry kids.
They always do.
I know.
Again, I got two thank yous. David Dow was very responsive on, when my computer went down. He spent, I won't say the better part of the day, but you know, he broke up his work at home and was able to come over and get us up and get me up and going. So, and then also to Warren County Township Association, got notification by phone that they won't tell me who or whatever, but we do have another winner.
Yay.
Oh, great.
We had
So
how
make it
many
next week.
entries, like 5 or
I
something?
think so, 4 or 5. So I think they said just add another one for us,
Okay.
and they're gonna try, if it works out with that recipient, to do it on the next meeting, which would be the 16th of
Awesome.
July.
Okay, sounds great.
So, and that's all I have at this time.
Good. Anything else for Gus?
I have nothing.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Gus. Next, we'll do the fiscal officer report.
So the Chase card, we're like I said, like this close to transition, and I got all the cards in yesterday, and I just need to understand the platform a little bit before I release them and make sure we're up to date on that stuff. So that probably will happen probably yet this month, switching to that and going away from the credit card to the procurement card then. Any more questions about because the resolution's in there for the document service, or anything else you want to discuss? Okay. And then, Gus hit the AOS training. Of course, again, that's gonna be a point of audit, so we're certainly gonna want to make sure that we did that. But since it is part of the audit process, I've I guess, kind of taken it on to be the compliance guy, to make sure we're getting it all done.
Is that something Waynesville Village is gonna have to do too?
Every government agency.
Do they know that?
Yeah.
Fraud reporting training? You guys are gonna have to go through?
Fraud reporting?
Yeah,
I guess.
you're gonna have to do.
Every government agency,
Yeah.
Okay.
public
Okay.
library,
Thanks for the
you
heads
name
up.
it,
Alright,
they're all
yeah.
gonna have to go through it.
You got 90 days,
Yeah.
Yeah.
plenty of time.
So then, of course, the last thing is the OPERS. I don't have a lot of answers other than things kind of got, I don't want to say worse yesterday, but certainly found out some different information. So I thought this was only impacting the EMS only part-time people. It also apparently now impacts, I don't want to use the word volunteer, but the on-call or 8 on-call folks. So I was talking with the gal from OPERS, and she said, well, on-call is also contributable to PERS. And she pulled out the Ohio Revised Code, it's like 145 something or other, and it specifically says on-call pay, which is what we pay, is on-call pay, and we also do per run. There's like a $15 per run. So the per run is not contributable, but the on-call pay is. So we're gonna have to, anybody who, well, the other fortunate thing is they did say it's gonna be only impactful to those that are currently on the roster. I said, well, that's awesome, because everybody quit today, so we don't have anybody on the roster. She got a laugh out of it. But it will impact that. We have one
And it's
employee.
still just EMS only?
EMS only
EMS
people,
only.
yeah. We have one employee that goes back 12 years, and the on-call status, that we're gonna have to go back and catch up. And, so,
Boy.
yeah, I don't know, I don't know what the impact is financially quite yet, because we're still trying to figure out what everybody,
What about abatement of fees and such? Is there any hope of that? Because I'm sure they're.
typically not, because it's a retirement system. And so, anything past this year, so back, so 2023 and back, we will be liable for both the employee and the employer share. Currently, we just do the employer share, but going that far back, we have to do both. We have to do employee share and employer share to catch up. This year, and I wanted to have an answer, I submitted it to the prosecutor's office and see what they say, but I wanted to find out with regard this year for the catch-up, does the, do you guys have the authority to spend that money to pay both employer and employee share as an option? Because, you know, you may be turning around on some of these people because it's 10% of their wage, and you may be asking them for a significant amount of money that they were not intending to, you know, pay. So that would be an option, or doing a payroll deduction plan to catch them up, depending on how you guys fall out on this. But we gotta, again, wait to see what the prosecutor says, I think, whether we can do that or not. I suspicion we can, because we typically, you know, you can take out usually the employee half normally, but this isn't a normal situation, so I wanted to run that through the prosecutor's office first before I said that's truly an option. So right now, I don't really know that it is until I
Or
get their
any,
blessing.
or a portion of their, maybe
Right.
getting some shared.
Right, right. And then, of course, we'll, you know, I'm sure there's gonna be some penalty and interest that goes with it, because, you know, you're gonna have to catch up. Because had they had that money in
Right.
the accounts at the
Right, they
time,
could've, right.
so we'll have to catch all of that up, so.
Are you, at this point, those people, are you changing payroll on them, so they are taking out now, and they are
Well,
in
fortunately,
the
nobody,
overs?
yeah, we haven't had to do it, but we are in the process. I got some of them hooked up on PERS, and then some of the new folks, Tanner, I've been working with Tanner to get people to get the forms signed, and so we can get them in the system and start doing some catch up. So a lot of the ones that we've always, so the volunteers, we've always paid like on a quarter or annual, but those that are EMS only, we're gonna have to start paying on a monthly basis, because the contributions to
Oh,
PERS
that's
is
right.
on a monthly
Right.
basis. And that's the farthest out they go.
Okay.
So we're gonna have to rejigger some of that as well in terms of payroll. So it's a lot of moving parts right now, but the chief and Tanner have been very helpful in trying to get us all caught up. So that's kind of really the status right now. We'll know a lot more soon, because as we're filing stuff with OPERS, they're gonna slowly be sending us nasty grams back, saying, oh, okay, well, thanks for this, now this is your penalty. So
Yeah.
it's gonna come in kind of waves, because it'll be, I don't know, it's gonna take a little while for Tanner to pull some of those people's stuff that goes back so far,
Right.
and then we'll have to fill out the paperwork and wait for the determinations at that point. But that's kind of where it stands right now. Of course, I'll keep you guys abreast as we trudge on.
Okay.
So, okay, an odd question.
Sure.
So they say it's anybody that's kind of, I mean, is no possibility of terminating people and then rehiring them or anything? I mean, I'm sorry, but I have to ask.
Well, the problem is
That's
they're,
on tape.
yeah. I think
We look at job descriptions and stuff like that too, correct? You're looking at job descriptions wherever
Well,
you
and
can
that's,
and where they flow
and
at
that
and
is
stuff like
how
that too, yeah.
all of this is pushed through, is truly by job classification. We don't have a lot of that really in place quite yet. I know they've been working on it, and that will help keep these kinds of things from happening in the future, because it is really, that's how, when you talk to them, it's really, everybody looks at like little different pieces. What do they have fire here, or are they fire
Yeah.
trained? Well, that doesn't mean anything. It's what they were hired as, and what the job expectation of that position was. So, as a good example, we've got one member who's got fire certification, works at another agency solely as an EMS provider, well, you know, she can pay into PERS there because she's solely an EMS provider. Here though, she was hired in as a firefighter EMT, so she can't
Right.
go into it because it's the job classification.
Okay.
That's what it is.
So are they in any other system? Are they in any other retirement system, the firefighter?
Paying in social security.
Not part,
Yeah,
yeah,
so
Social
yeah,
Security.
part-time,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
Part-time.
social security, but
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
those are
but
state.
Oh, so.
I'm assuming
wait, so
that the
we've been
fire
paying-
lobby out there lobbied with OPNF, which is
Yes.
the Ohio Police and Fire, because they also have the highest contribution rate out of all the systems,
But we've
24%.
been paying into social security for these people.
Yeah, and that's the other part too, is having to work on clawing that back
Yeah.
from the federal government.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so that's another piece of the puzzle.
Wow.
Yeah, so.
Good luck.
We can only-
Welcome, Scott.
Yes.
Sorry we don't have cupcakes tonight.
If
So-
Stacy were here, we'd have cupcakes.
I know, right?
Is it your birthday?
Well, it was last week. Yeah. So,
So tell me more about this birthday.
not only cake, but yeah. So we'll try to get that money back as much as we can. So
Now, I'm glad you're looking into it and you're
Yeah.
asking the questions and you're doing things that need to be done and taking
It hurts, but.
an effort.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's not gonna be an easy effort, but we're catching back up to everything we need to do and moving forward with it. I mean, I think it's very good.
once
So,
we get these job classifications and descriptions
So
done,
close.
uh,
So close.
you know, and there's, you know, a good communication between me and the fire department, and I think a lot of these kinds of issues probably won't rear their head again. Once there's a process, I don't think there's a good process. People just didn't understand, you know, all these little, like, well, I'll just pay on call stuff. I mean, I never would have thought it. I was telling Gus today, I've been to multiple OPERS conferences, never heard those words come out of their mouth, you know? I was talking to them on the phone, I fell out of my chair, and they said, on call,
And are you-
it's
I mean,
exactly what we do.
There's documentation on that too?
Oh,
It's not
yeah.
just, okay, so it's just a phone call?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Alright,
yeah.
alright.
It's actually written out in the Ohio Revised Code,
Okay.
yeah. And she gave me the section number, and I said, what's that section number? I cannot believe that.
Yeah.
So, well, that's gonna be okay. So, that's what I got, until we do the tax budget, I don't know, do we do this now, or do
Oh,
we do it
we're
later?
supposed to do
or-
it at
7:30.
7:30.
7:30?
what time's it right now?
7:33.
7:33,
Oh.
so we can go into it.
There we go. So, did you guys get the tax budget?
No.
Oh, I thought you were gonna do
Huh?
copies. You got copies or not?
No, I do not.
Oh.
I can,
Well,
We'll take your word for it though, and we'll do a public records request on you if we need to.
there you go.
I can,
I
I
got it.
just gotta find that,
Yeah, we can't put it up on
well,
that.
maybe got their
No, there's-
devices we can.
I got one copy, yeah.
Let's see if I can email everybody.
Yeah.
Good, you wanna
yeah,
make
email us.
a couple copies? He can make some copies real quick.
There you go. Thank you.
Go into anything else? or
Yeah.
anything?
We can keep
Make
moving
sure you
forward
get
with it too.
form.
We'll come back to that.
We're not paying into PERS for this.
That's right.
Well, that's something I learned. The PERS said that their perspective what a volunteer is, and from their position, a volunteer is anyone, is a position where anybody can walk in off the street and do a task. So if we were having people clean trash or pick up trash, I should say, stuff like that.
Or make copies.
Yeah, that would be a volunteer. But if you gotta be certified and go through the schooling, they said that's not really, in their perspective, what a volunteer is. Which I thought, well, that's,
Learn something every
We
day.
don't pick our EMS people up off the street though.
well, but she was just trying to clarify what a volunteer was.
Okay.
And I think that paid on call and that paid per call is really the big catch there.
Right,
So-
paid anything, or, I'm sorry, a paid per anything is never contributable. So if you're getting paid like for paying so many bills or paying per lawn, like we were paying for somebody to cut a lawn that was like per lawn, then it's not contributable, but, or per call. In fact, it says in the ORC, it talks about it, about being a per emergency incident or something like that.
Right.
Is non-contributable, but on-call pay is a whole different scenario, unfortunately for us. So I guess we'll have to wait for that. Sorry, I just thought it was part of the meeting package.
Well, let's go ahead, let's go into old business and
Yeah.
let's keep moving forward then. So first thing for old business, we talk about the website, anything on that?
No updates quite yet.
Okay. 165 Miami Street, anything on that so far? We talked about last, okay. Anybody else have any old business they want to talk about?
None from my end.
Okay, let's go to the new business. The question, does anybody have any questions or concerns with the bills tonight?
I had none, no.
I had none as well. Next, we go to legislation. So we can go into resolution 2024-71. This is concerning a modification to the site plan approval for 4138 East State Route 73. PID number is 0507-151017 for landscaping service garden center. And we discussed this from last week, and this is a resolution that we were going to approve anyway. So I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2024-71.
I will second.
Alrighty, roll call, Ms. Colvin,
Yes.
Mr. Jacobs?
Yes.
And Mr. Patrick?
Yes.
Okay. This, resolution of 2024-71 is passed on this second day of July.
Thank you. And then, so we will skip over resolution 2024-72, this resolution adopting the tax budget for year 2025. That's what Scott will go over here shortly. And then we have resolution 2024-73.
We gotta skip that one too.
We're gonna skip that one as well. Okay. And then we have, so basically we're just gonna go down to resolution 2024-74. This is approve entering into a continued education contract with Hannah Wolfenbarger for an advanced firefighter 1 and 2 class. So Chief, go ahead. You have anything else to add to it?
Yeah, so Hannah is one of our new EMS only people, but she wants to go to fire school, so
Okay.
we, her and Elena, we're gonna send them both to fire school. I'm waiting on just, so there'll be 3 people that hopefully will be in this next class: Tanner Schenkel, Elena Benton, and Hannah. I'm waiting on the other 2 contracts to come back. The good thing about this is that I believe that the Career Center has some grant money, so it would not impact us financially. Sending 3 people's, it's $2,700 a class, I think. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
So if they have the grant money, we're gonna.
So will that be paid up first, or do we have to pay and get reimbursed, or how's that work? Probably they would pay.
I think they cover it, or we pay up front and then we get reimbursed. I believe that's how it goes.
Okay.
Then Hannah's gonna work here for how long after, what's the contract for?
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah, 2 years is the pretty standard, and they've gotta meet 30% of the trainings and, a bunch of other stuff, so.
All right. I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2024-74.
I will second.
Alright.
Thank you.
Roll call, Mr. Patrick?
Yes.
Mr. Jacobs?
Yes.
Ms. Colvin?
Yes.
Thank you.
Alrighty, resolution 2024-74 is adopted the second day of July, 2024.
Thank you.
Here's a copy of the contract that needs signed also by the board. Give them to the teacher.
Thank you.
And the
Shining stuff.
budget worksheet should be on your devices
Yeah. So
also.
do we want to go with? You guys want to do the resolution 2024-61?
Yeah, we can go and do that.
Let's do that one.
Yep.
Okay, so we also have resolution 2024-61. This is a resolution to accept the proposal from SC Strategic for professional services and imaging software.
But any of those in the audience, this is not present on the agenda. We had added it back to the agenda from a previous meeting.
So let me see that again, if you could please. Yeah, so basically, like Scott, or Josh, Mr. Patrick said, so this is SE Strategic has submitted a proposal to provide professional services with imaging software solutions that address the needs. The proposed rate for these services is $49.95 per year for a 3-year period. And we had more discussion about it off in the work session before about, even though we do get this imaging, it is still our property, it's still ours to have, and if we decide to go to somebody else in the future, we still have the right to have all that scanning and information there, so we do not lose anything by having that as well, so.
They're gonna give us, every year, they're gonna give us a hard drive.
Yep.
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 And
As a backup.
digitization of these documents, Scott, if you want to go through just briefly what, since we split it across a couple of meetings.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
The benefits really to the taxpayer, the benefits
Well, the
to you.
benefit is, one, it decreases somewhat of our workload internally. We don't have to store as much physically here because it'll be in a digital format. We're able to share it easily with the trustees and others that need to approve things along the way. So it cuts that down on really the workload, especially on my behalf, because I'm able to just move things immediately into a virtual filing cabinet. That way that I'm not recreating many documents that I get, all the bills that we get. A lot of times I'm taking them from a digital world, making them into a physical world to maintain them versus just keeping them in a digital world. And then the positive too is we can tap it into our website so people would be able to electronically see resolutions, minutes, and those types of things if the board decides to do that. Auditor's office will be able to have access, that way when we have an audit, the documents that they need to see will be just shared immediately in a virtual way. That way I'm not having to go through filing cabinets, finding the 3 receipts that they need, scanning them to myself, and then uploading it to their cloud. They would just have access.
And it says like OCR, optical character recognition, so
Right.
that, if we need to search for, let's say, a public records request.
Sure,
to fill.
right, yeah, that way if we need to look up Joe Smith, it'll pop up everything that we have in the name of Joe Smith. So a lot quicker with regard to public records requests and just general knowledge in terms of researching stuff on our behalf, for issues that we've had, so.
Yeah, I think the company talked about doing a test upload of some of the older documents
Sure.
and an indexing and stuff, and I'd
Yeah.
like to make sure that happens and we approve that before they go forward with doing
Yeah.
the whole shebang, right?
And really, this resolution is about getting the service and the
Right.
software. We'll have to
We have
probably develop a second resolution of
On the
where you,
backlog of,
on the backlog of
Okay.
stuff of where you guys see, whatever that price point is, where you guys feel comfortable with, and that way we can start working towards that end. But this is really the piece of just really the software
Okay.
and a lot of that piece of it, not so much the back end of it,
Okay.
which we'll have to do, because I know you guys have some different thoughts on that, so.
all right, that sounds good.
This just gets us started, and next meeting, I'll have a resolution with regard to the archival or mass scanning
Mass
project.
uploading, yeah,
Yeah.
right, yeah,
Okay.
okay.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution 2024-61.
I will second that.
Mr. Jacobs. Alrighty, roll call, Mr. Patrick.
Yes.
Mr. Jacobs.
Yes.
And Ms. Coleman.
Yes,
Alrighty, this resolution is passed this second day of July, 2024.
Make us proud, Scott.
Okay.
yeah,
I've been trying to.
All right. Now we will
It's gonna
return.
work out this week.
Yeah. Now we're going to return back to the tax 2025 year. I'll turn it back over to Scott.
Alrighty. So I always like to start this discussion off with what the purpose is of, for the past 4 years was the village, I did this at the beginning of the tax budget, just to help us all remember why we're even here. So the tax budget is really the beginning, the formation of our next year's appropriations and budgeting. So what we're looking at with this particular set of documents is historically what we spent over the past 3 years, where we were in terms of both expenditure and revenue, but then also what we forecast to the end of this year and what we forecast for the following year. With that, the tax commission will take this and look at it, see if our numbers seem to jive in their head, and then they will issue us a certificate of resources. And that is what we will then, they'll give that to us. We'll take this in July. We gotta get this submitted yet, the next couple weeks. And then I think in August, they'll have the meeting. And then when they give us the certificate of resources, then that's when we can begin to look at our appropriations, setting our appropriations for the following year. So they're kind of giving us the box. They're gonna say, this is, we believe that with what you've given us, this is where you're gonna be in terms of revenue. So we're gonna certify that, and then you can go forth and make your appropriations within that certified amount. Now, I always take a very conservative look, especially when, like the township does, they do a temporary budget. Because that kind of, so we can begin to frame up, and we know we're gonna be well within our means if we were somewhat conservative at this point. Because then at the end of the year, because since we're doing a temporary budget, it's not a permanent budget, it's temporary, so we'll know by the time we make that final budget appropriations, truly what all of our true numbers are. So this is really just kind of a stepping point, a foundational point to begin this entire cycle of appropriations through our temporary budget and ultimately to our permanent final budget, which will be in April of next year.
Okay.
So,
I do have a question,
Sure.
Scott, and of course, our investments in, the funds that have come in have been kind of a topic of discussion lately.
Sure.
So what does it look like in forecasting the revenues that are going to come? I see what you have out there for, 24 and 25.
And so right now, in interest, and again, we're waiting again for the prosecutor's office to give the okay on the investment policy. Taking a little longer than I'd hoped. We're gonna live and die by wherever the interest rate goes, because we're 100% liquid. So thus far this year.
Come on in.
I'll bring them over to you.
So this far in terms of,
Scott's coming too.
Okay.
revenue from our interest, that's going into the general budget, we're at $133,000. We had projected 275 last year, so this year we're right now 133. So I kind of made that a little bit flat, because when I looked at the budgets also, typically about every 4 years you want to kind of be flat, because you don't always want to be showing 4 or 5% interest every year, or year over year. So you kind of want a flat period, and that's what I did with that. So I'm kind of forecasting a little flat because, again, we do know that we're in an inflationary.
Sorry.
And, we know that the Fed's already telling us that they'd like to do one rate cut, and, so we'll see where all that goes. So I've kind of just kept it conservative right now, so we're flat. We could end up at the year with a lot more.
Sure.
But I tend to always forecast kind of conservative, especially since we utilize the temporary budgeting system.
And that all goes in the general fund, right?
Well, that piece does. There are certain parts, because the interest, like on our STAR account, that's split up amongst other funds as well.
Okay.
By law, certain ones have to collect their own, like the street levy or the gas levy. Those have to collect their own interest. But the majority of it, yes, goes into our general fund.
Right, and I appreciate the clarification, just because, just trying to find out what type of volatility, knowing where things are right now with
I
it being
think-
an election year, and
right.
things are just a little crazy.
Right, well, the
so
guy
how
from,
much are we-
Meter, he was kind of the same way, it's just, you can't really tell right now, but,
But I think that's why we're doing meter,
Right.
that's a good reason for us to diversify a little bit and
Sure.
get out of our.
Yeah, because, you know, and as he pointed, you know, and I think it was a great slide, and I hope you lock that in your head, that when the star starts to drop, it drops.
Yeah, I
You
saw
know,
that.
so
Yeah.
we will go from making nearly 300,000 in interest to probably, well, maybe half of that in a relatively short period of time, according to that slide. So it could be precipitous, but that's why I went a little bit conservative on that. So, you know, this is just broken down by fund accounts. This is the general fund. So under 2024, you know, at our current rate, forecasting that we're gonna end with about 596,000 in our coffers, and projecting about 607. So just a little bit of an increase there, 3%. I'm not gonna break down every one of these, but you know, you can go to each thing. I did just, a lot of this, I just projected out the cost, like a 5%, 10%, depending on what it was. Insurance, I had projected a bit higher, because you never know where insurance will be the next year, so we always at least caution ourselves. And again, this isn't, you know, what I want to say is, it's a guess, one, because it's a forecast, but this is just really kind of setting the stage, so if we're off, you know, it's not terribly impactful, because, you know, they're just setting our resources at this point. So at the end of this year, that looks like I'm at about 1.933.
It's here on page 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's on page 2.
Yeah, I'm sorry, page 2.
That's fine.
Yeah, because this is all part of your expenditures, starting at the
Yeah.
bottom of page 1, for your general funds.
Yes.
So salaries, you know, we haven't seen, we're not gonna see a tremendous change, and we also know the prediction. You know, trustees and fiscal officers, you know, we already know what our increase will be, and I think I'd set in a bit of I think up to a 10% for the other salaries. They give some variance there. So it would be a small increase over the previous year, what I'm forecasting, about 517 and 588 for the following year of 2025. Again, these were just kind of very moderate increases across the board. We haven't really tapped into a lot on, towards the bottom of the page, there's other finance sources and resources. That's the transfer out account. We haven't used a lot of it in the general fund, so I just backed that down to about 85,000 instead of the 90,000 that's there. I didn't see the real need for us to hold that much money in place. Any questions really with the general fund? I mean, this doesn't get into a lot of, because this isn't your appropriations, this is, you know, so this is just kind of getting into where, you know, where some of our large spends are. Any questions about really where it's going right now? Go ahead.
Just a little question about Parks and Recreation on page 2. It's like, why did we go from 3,300 last year to 10,000 this year?
That's a good question. Yeah, to go from 3,300 to 10. I think some of that, I did have some calculations of, I forget now what it was, those increases. Because,
I can answer that.
You
I
can
can
answer that?
answer
All
yeah,
right.
because we've done,
Historically, we've always, I can't remember, it's been 10 or 15. It used to be 15. We would budget 15,000 a year
Yeah.
for Parks and Recreation, and that was actually the only category that we wouldn't throw back into the pot and then reappropriate. That was one that we actually carried over. Heisey Park is a good example. You know, we spent $100,000 with Warren County Park District to buy that Heisey Park, along with a state grant. So by letting it build up year over year, it gave us a substantial amount of money that we could use. Where if we only appropriated, only budgeted what we normally would spend, was just typically around $5,000 or $10,000, then, you know, we would have never saved that kind of money in that particular fund. So since in the last 5 or 6 years, we've got away from carrying it over or trying to build up anything, because we have nothing to really nobody's come up with a vision or whatever to invest in parks.
To save for.
Yeah.
So, other than what we've been doing throughout the year, and supporting things like the Fourth of July, Independence
Right.
Day,
Tractor
Park
show.
Festival,
Tractor
Tractor show, that type of stuff.
And again, those are just placeholders, it doesn't mean
Yeah,
that
I
you're
know.
going to actually
Right.
appropriate that
Right.
much money, yeah. So this next section is special revenues, the motor vehicle license tax, you know, that's a pretty set amount that comes in.
Yeah.
So this year, I'm projecting at the end of the year, we'll have collected about $19,475. And with another, you know, probably about 5% increase over next year. Cause it's a pretty steady income that comes in. We don't get a lot of crazy amount coming in. Expenditures, I think I just kinda really set that to what, 2023 was at 20,000, so I just continued it flat because I don't, I spoke to Scott and they don't have any big plans. So we just kept that flat, for this year for that particular fund. Let's see, page 5 is motor vehicle license tax. Again, these are kind of really, you know, set out by the state and they'll be announced, you know. So I put it just about $10,000. Again, it's not much of a change from previous years to all the way to 2025, because you're just, that's another one of those very steady streams that doesn't change much. I guess it depends on your population. You start moving more people in here, and they start buying licenses that are associated with.
Yeah, the more people, the more
Township.
vehicles or, you know, trailers, anything with a license plate. So, you know, if you've got a whole bunch of kids turning 16 and they're all gonna get a car, you know, you might see a little spike,
Yeah.
but for the most part, it stays steady as she goes.
Yeah. And I didn't really change much, really for the budgeting on this. Again, it's kind of flat. Talked to Scott, you know, and he's just kind of giving me that impression that he doesn't really want to change anything in terms of, we don't have any big purchases. He's made all the big physical
I've
purchases.
spent enough money.
Yeah.
So just, you know, the only plan, you know, is just a road resurfacing program that, you know, that we've been, you know, on the schedule with.
Right. So that's,
Just kind of have a catch-up year, kind of, and let things level out a little bit and see where we're at.
so I guess page 7 is the gas tax. Yeah, that's again, that's another steady account. We're not gonna really do much with it. Obviously, you can see it's decreased this year, and well, this is what the projection for this year, but what we're gonna spend in that account. And then Scott said again it was gonna be flat next year, so that's why it's decreased almost by half from next year. So a lot of these road things, these are all, so your road and bridge that's inside millage, you know, that's not, you know, it doesn't change a whole lot from year to year. We do know, obviously, our millage, all of our inside millages, we're gonna see an increase. I didn't factor that increase in because we don't know where we're gonna land, but we know at the end of the day, we're going to have an increase because the property values are going up. So all of that will change and it will increase. But I would rather set it low and so we stay within that lower estimate than, and when that comes in high, then we can make an adjustment down the road if we want to. But that's why it's kind of somewhat flat, but we do know that these increases are coming, both in terms of the pipeline utility tax that we'll be adding to it, and as well as the overall valuations. So we should see an increase there. So salaries, they did have some increases in salaries in this budget. And others, and benefits, we increased that as well. Again, that was some 10%, so the insurance was probably about 20% for forecasting purposes. So we had really an over-under about $40,000 at the end of the day of what we're anticipating to carry over for next year.
sorry, but what's the capital outlay of 281, almost 282,000?
Where's this?
Road and bridge?
Oh, that's for this year, that's,
Yeah.
That's the road resurfacing.
That's the road
Yeah,
resurfacing,
program,
okay.
yeah,
yeah. Yeah,
that's for this year.
Yeah, that's for this year.
How come there was none last year listed? 0. 2023.
I didn't do that, I
I
didn't know.
know you didn't, but.
I don't have what you're looking at, so I don't.
You know, like capital outlay at the very bottom down there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Cause there were some of the years
Do you want
before,
me to
but now
have
there's
somebody
not.
send that to the printer? Do you want a copy?
I,
Can you?
I do.
Bottom of this sheet
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, 0 back on capital outlay.
right.
He doesn't have one right now, so.
Well, well, the capital act, well, actually, I think it's probably is tractor and those things. and-
Yeah, that's
and-
what it should
And
be.
road surfacing. I don't know why 2023, that wasn't in the capital
I
outlay.
think all of our capital outlays for road resurfacing and everything came out of all the other
Oh, the,
funds and not the actual road and bridge.
Not the road and bridge.
okay, that makes
Okay.
sense.
Yeah. we're-
Typically, we don't, we, out of road and bridge is salaries and a small bit of capital outlay. We try to do the road resurfacing through, motor vehicle license tax, gas tax,
And permissive road license tax.
and the permissive motor vehicle license tax, right?
Okay.
That's the goal anyways.
Okay.
And then, and then a little bit out of road and bridge.
Having those ARPA funds maybe also.
And the
Yeah,
ARPA funds
right,
helped
the
out
ARPA helped
huge,
out,
Yeah,
yes.
right? We really got a lot accomplished with the,
That's good.
we got a lot of bang for
Very
those
good.
dollars.
Yeah.
We're gonna use some of it. So, yeah. So the over-under is for 39,000 at the end of the year, and 54 next year. Never really a market change for 2025 for the road and bridge fund. Fire district fund. We did see some changes. So, our anticipated revenue for the fire district fund was 774,500. And then I did a small increase to 802 for next year. Again, I'm not sure where all this levies are gonna land and so forth, so I played a bit more conservative. On the expense side, they had, it involves more increases in wages and some more other benefits and for future planning purposes. And I think it's the fire fund B that, so this is all the fire district general operations. And it should leave us at the end of this year with a 2.3 million in that account. And I think the carryover for 2025, again, that one, slightly flat, but it had more increases towards salaries and those types of benefits with a just a little over 2 million budget estimate. Fire District B, wasn't a whole lot of changes in this either. We've, it comes from levies, so it's pretty steady money as well. We did, I think we put a capital outlay in there, just as a placeholder. I'm trying to find that capital.
215, bottom 12.
Yeah, it was 765,000 next year for, I know they've been talking about a bumper tanker, so I just put a placeholder in there. Again, it's not appropriating the money, it's just, when the commission looks at it, they can see what it would look like if we did purchase something like that. And was there any result with the $350,000 if we spend that money in the fire fund B next year? So it'll take it down quite a bit if we end up spending that money. I'm trying to see where we stand right now. Fire fund B. Fire fund B. And this year we've collected 317,000, but our, looks like we've been, month to date, month to date revenue. No, $963,000 right now in the Fire Fund B. So,
I mean, if you need me to spend that,
I'm sure you can. And that's just where our current,
Okay.
our year-to-date expenditures, our year-to-date revenues, where we stand right now. Permissive motor vehicle tax, license tax. Again, that's a pretty steady stream. So we have 110,000 estimated, or I'm sorry, 125,000. Oh, I'm sorry, that was expenditure. 110,000 this year for anticipated revenue based upon the rate that we've received thus far, you know. And then next year, just a small increase to 121,000. And these were just kind of set in these 125,000. I think it was just based upon previous years. Kind of placeholders, you know, putting the money there, that way you can expend it later if you need to, but get some small increases. Largely for the road and resurfacing and those types of things.
Right.
And then this is a different, another permissive motor vehicle license tax, or is this, or is it all one? It's all one, yeah.
Yeah.
It should be all one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how we receive them, folks.
Yeah. Oh, right, right.
Yeah. The coronavirus relief, that's just in there, even though that's closed out, and it stays for a little while longer, I
Okay.
believe. Local fiscal recovery, and that's all, we're obviously not gonna get any more money in, and we anticipate expending all the funds in there by the end of the year. Or at least by law, we should. Lighting district, you know, that's just you know, it's just staying levy, they're gonna stay level, you know, cause we bill them for the street lights, and so, you know, our anticipated revenue currently is 14,000, and it says expenditures 14,500, for finish of this year, next year. This last one's the food pantry. We haven't really gotten much money year-to-date into the food pantry fund. And we've gotten year-to-date revenues $54. But I think that's why I was hoping that we'd maybe get $300 in the account for the rest of the year. And then it's set to $2,000, but probably wouldn't honestly spend that. That's what where it stands right now. The total revenue for next year is $3.05 if we don't get any additional revenue and what we spend off of it. That's kind of a short glimpse of that. Next year, I mean, a lot of times in these tax budget meetings, the departments will come in, and maybe this is something we can do, you know, if they want to buy a capital purchase, you know, whether it's a big piece of apparatus or this or that, oftentimes in those tax budget meetings, that's when they'll present it to be added into the budget. And just kind of, because it gives the people, you know, if they're interested and they come to the meeting to say, hey, you know, that's a great idea about this piece of apparatus, but I've got some potholes on our street and we need them prepared first, you know, that's the whole purpose of having the tax budget in an open forum, so people have the ability to talk about it. And so maybe in the future, when we do have some capital projects, we can kind of explain them a bit better if I have, you know, a discussion about like that. Because that's what a lot of you do, and I think it's beneficial to the public to hear what their folks are doing versus the fiscal officer saying, well, you know, we're using this kind of a plug number for the cost of capital, you know, so. With that, that's my little piece on it. Do you guys have any questions about the tax budget?
No, I think it's good. Yeah.
You're part of it.
we'll talk later.
Give me more money.
You guys have any more as well,
He
or-
rechecked your numbers and, you know,
Yeah.
I could actually get
it's not,
a tanker and an engine out of
not
that.
not gonna call you out for the
That's
meeting.
different.
That's
Like,
good.
we gotta pay Opers, so.
Yeah,
And it's out of your fund.
Exactly.
Right. But no, yeah, no,
Yeah,
I mean, I, you know,
so-
mine stays pretty steady. I mean, over the course of the last 4 to 5 years when we've had the ARPA money, you know, we've definitely kind of stepped up our road resurfacing,
Oh, yeah.
you know, program, to get more done with the dollars that we have received. But, you know, all mine's inside millage. I mean, that's pretty steady as she goes. License plate, you know, those fees, those are pretty steady as she goes. Gas tax can go up and down depending on what's happening in the year. Okay, so the
Yeah.
COVID years when folks were having, you know, when we were staying home or whatever, gas tax, you know, came down. You know, the governor kind of bumped that up to help us out a little bit. Plus, we were able to put on, you know, an additional $5 for the license plates, which helped us out and everything. But mine's pretty steady as she goes, and you know, and we're over the years we've kind of steadied ourselves on a figure, you know, for what we can spend, you know, on the mileage. You know, some years it's higher, some years it's lower. Just depends on what the schedule is, but
Never leave the shoebox empty.
exactly. Never leave the shoebox empty. Always have a couple mason jars in the headboard.
I mean, it's just, you know, there's no year that goes by that something doesn't come up that's unexpected. So
Yeah.
in order to take care of that unexpected item, whether it be come down from legislatively or just something internally or whatever.
Well, and you know, Gus and I were talking today, in fact, that, you know, because Matt is very consistent across the way. If anybody has what he considers too much of a carryover, he starts pecking at you, and he's pecked at us about our carryover in the general fund. But you know, you know, I think we're both in the same thought. Gus and I, at least I thought, was, you know, that it's easy to defend that because, you know, if we need to put that towards something unexpected that comes up, we can do that. You can't really transfer money out of the gas fund or the, you know, those types of road funds to cover something else. It has to come out of the general. So, and then, you know, with the flow of money that comes into the general, it's not a big flow, you know, so, you know, he wants us to spend it down, but the problem is you spend it down, it's going to take a while to build that back up. Yeah, and so there is an emergency, and where are you, you know, so.
It's just like all of us in our personal lives. Money goes out a lot faster than it
Sure
gets
does.
back into the
Yeah.
checking account.
Now, you got those freak years, but
Well, right.
but that's why they're called freak years,
It's-
because it's not
Yeah,
every year.
and they're not dependent. You cannot depend on that.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I appreciate the conversation.
You guys have
More
any,
detail into it. That's very good. Yeah.
Bearing no other discussion, I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution 2024-72.
I'll second.
I gotta find it.
That's right.
Who has it, do I?
I hope you do.
Is it in
I had a
there?
copy of it. Oh, yeah.
This is all budget stuff. So you guys get ahead of us.
You have a folder.
I have a folder for
It's the
Color
green.
coded.
Yeah.
it. And it was in
Yeah.
my,
And
it was in my folder.
it wasn't.
See? Make fun of my folders.
Yeah, that's good. It's very good.
It's what keeps me organized. Alrighty, so who was the first? Mr. Patrick.
Mr. Patrick.
Who was the second?
That's me.
Thinking about my folders. All right. Roll call, Mrs. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. Jacobs,
Yes.
and Mr. Patrick.
Yes.
All right. I think, so this resolution is adopted the second day of July. There's that, and I will transmit said resolution and worksheets to the county auditor's office on or before the 20th day of July, as required by
Good.
law.
Does anybody else have any other new business for us?
I have none.
We can either. All right, now we're going into correspondence. Do we have any correspondence?
Nope.
Well,
Okay, there's none there. Do we have anything with elected officials' comments? You guys good?
I would just like to make special recognition of Scott, since coming on to, as fiscal officer, you know, I feel like he's really delved in and, you know,
Yeah.
taken this position and elevated it so that, you know, there are new solutions and, you know, not just coming to us with problems, but saying, hey, here's this can make us better, this can make us more efficient, you know, this can tighten things up, you know, whether it's the pay plus or pay protection program,
Right,
you know.
and it's working wonderfully.
Right, and I mean, you know, being the watchdog of our treasury here is I think it's a title to wear proudly for you, so thank you for all that.
Yeah, not an easy task.
No,
You do it well.
yes.
I try.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you,
That's
definitely.
all I can do.
Yeah,
Just glad it's not me.
okay.
He gets by with a little help from his friends.
Is that it?
All right, so we will, we'll have a work session after our meeting is adjourned, so if anybody wants to stay for that. Anything, we don't have an executive session, or do we?
We need to not, we need to not adjourn
Oh,
in case we need to
okay.
take action on the resolution.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so there could be a
73.
possible,
Yeah.
there could be possible legislation after our work
for the
session.
levy.
Okay. So, we will go out of regular session and into a work session. So, let's see here. I make a motion that we go into work session at 8:16 PM. Do I have a second?
I don't think it's
We don't need to.
You don't need to do that?
No.
Okay.
We'll do it for you.
Just
for
roll.
Sure, yeah,
Okay, thank
I
you.
agree.
Aye.
I agree.
Good. Of work session, and going back into our regular session. Yeah, thank you, appreciate that. And basically, we already discussed that there could be possible resolution, or possible legislation, so we are going to go ahead and continue with resolution 2024-73. This is requesting that the county auditor to certify Wayne Township the total current tax evaluation of Wayne Township and the dollar amount of revenue that would be generated by a 2.0 mil new tax levy. And like we said, this is just a beginning process to be able to find out some more details moving forward as well. So, maybe want to make a motion on resolution 2024-73.
So moved.
I'll second.
Roll
Sorry.
call vote.
Yep.
Mr. Patrick,
Yes.
Mr. Jacobs,
Yes.
and Ms. Cole.
Yes.
This motion's, or resolution 2024-73 is adopted this second day of July.
Like to make a motion to adjourn?
I will second.
At 9:17 PM.
All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays, like sign, motion carried.